Nat King Cole's Unforgettable introduces Viewpoint. And boy, it's an unforgettable session this morning. We have with us two great guests. Viewpoint guests, by the way, Madam Mayor, are personalities, politicians, and perspectives. Well, we got 2/3 of those today.
Well, maybe all three.
We shoot 100%. By the way, and I want you to know, now that you're now the mayor, you remember Aesop, that old fellow with all those fables and so forth? Well, Aesop said, "We hang the petty thieves and appoint the great ones to office." So that makes you the great one. You've been appointed to office, elected to office. So.
Well, not really elected, just appointed. So.
Well, we're happy to have you.
Well, thank you very much. I go by Mayor Marty. It kind of rings.
It does.
And so that's kind of what I picked up. And this Saturday I'll be doing trick or treat with Mayor Marty. So this will be my first time, and I'm trying to learn as I go around. So
that's what we do every day, Marty.
You know, I read an article one time when I was doing some work on television, on my computer, that Abraham Lincoln said, "You must learn something new every day to keep your life going."
I bet you are, too.
Oh, yes. Every day's just a challenge.
Well, thank goodness you have Clay Johnson, our city administrator. That's a godsend to all of us.
Well, I'll tell you the truth. I don't think I would have taken the job without Clay.
He's a real man.
Yeah.
He's a real man, aren't you, Clay?
Well, you've earned
my wife thinks so, yes.
His wife says so. So that's
good.
Well, anyway, today our guests are Marty Neitzel, who is the new mayor of the city of Lincoln, regardless how she got that office, whether it was elected or appointed. And Clay Johnson, of course, has been with us before. He's the city manager. We're awfully happy to have you here today. And Marty, I'd like to talk a little bit about Marty to start with, if we could.
Okay.
I know you started out as Martha Newman, and here you are, Marty Neitzel.
Yes.
You married Art this many years ago.
57.
Yeah. And you've been here.
We eloped.
Did you elope?
Yes.
Well, I want to tell you one thing. You may have the best genes of anybody I ever knew. But she came out of Dick and Helen Newman's.
Oh, I loved them.
They were special in our community, and so they were very proud to have you here, sitting here today, Marty.
They sure would.
Well, I think of them. Marty. I think of them often. I really do.
You bet. And
my mother said, "Please don't ever run for mayor," but she didn't say I couldn't be appointed.
So you're still minding your mother, aren't you?
She didn't have a tragedy caveat in there. Tragedy, which precipitated all this.
Yeah.
How does your sister feel about it? Was she surprised?
Oh yeah, she's real proud of me, and I'm proud of her. And
she's a good egg.
Yeah, she is. She's very personable.
Oh my!
And she talks to everybody.
She does.
In fact, when she's around, I don't talk to anybody because she's talking to everybody. So I kind of give her that.
Well, you both come by that, honestly.
I guess. My mom and dad were both very active in politics. You know that. And my mother, she worked. I was telling Clay, she was the first woman cashier for the Treasurer's office with Elmer Hoffman. She was the very first woman to ever be.
Is that right?
Yes.
Who was the treasurer then, honey? I'm sorry. Who was?
Elmer Hoffman was treasurer then when she was the first.
That was state treasurer.
Yes, state treasurer of Illinois, right.
I picked up on that because we didn't have a Croton County, so I realized that we were talking at the state level. Yes.
Yeah. So I come from a politic family. My mom and dad were both active, and my husband was active too.
Yes, he was. How long was he on the council?
17 years.
Was it that long? I have no idea how long Buzz was on, but I bet it approached.
I would say that or more.
Oh, I suspect, yeah.
I was thinking of him today. We were talking about sewers. Whenever I talk about sewers, I always think of Buzz. So he's always on my shoulder when I...
Actually, you should hark back to Dobby Shea. He always called it the Rubicon, and I think he was the only person in captivity, if I'm not mistaken, who knew where everything was.
He was, in fact. He really did. Dobby he had a mental picture And you walk down and say, this is there and this is something else. And he just knew those things.
Yes, he did. They had one worker out at the sewer department that Arthur talked to when he needed a question asked. I forget his name, but he was an old timer, and he knew where everything was in the sewer department.
Well, Dobby must have shared his knowledge with the man.
I would say, or vice versa.
Or vice versa.
Well, Madam Marty, Mayor Marty, that's what it is.
Right.
Mayor Marty.
Right.
All right, Mayor Marty, when you open your desk tomorrow morning at City Hall office, what will be the biggest problem that will confront you? And there are multitudinous problems.
Well, I don't know exactly what the problem will be, but I can definitely say this: there will be a problem.
And Clay will be in the back here giving a little coaching and here, how's this what we're going to do, and we'll fine tune this and we'll drop that and so forth.
But I mean, I don't foresee right now what that would be, but as I say, problems happen, and I kind of have an open door policy. I'm trying to create regular office hours that people know me, can come in and tell me their views and how they feel and how I can help them or how we can help them and how they feel about what the city council is doing. I want people to be more communicative to me, and so we know what we need to do.
Now, when you get someone in there who's a little irate, something that is governed by the city has made them torqued. What's usually the area that brings a complaint? Would it be roads? Would it be sewers? What would it be?
Right now, it's roads and the complex. Those are the two
roads
things.
And what?
The possible new complex. I think are the two things that have the people stirred.
And my guess is you're hearing considerable negative comments at this point in time, although I think we all agree, if we're being honest about that both the fire and the police department need extra space. I'm sure we're all agreed on that. It's a matter of priorities and money, and if people look at our infrastructure and how bad our streets are. I need a chiropractor every third week when I get home just driving down Peoria Street. But I won't be facetious about that at all, because it is a serious problem, and as Clay has visited with us up here before when he's been kind enough to come up, it's the money.
It's definitely the money.
Show me the money, honey.
But what people don't understand is that we, as the people involved with the city and the city council, we cannot plan for something today. We have to plan and lay out the groundwork for something that may happen later down the way, but we can't wait till the last minute to get our ideas and our designs and the engineering. We need to talk to people, and we need plans that we know in what direction we're going to go.
If you just go at things willy-nilly, it'll never work.
It never will.
It's got to have an organization.
And that's where Mr. Johnson comes in. His expertise and his background, his education, he gives us an idea of how to look ahead and prioritize whenever we get any money, how are we going to spend it?
That's right. That's right. I mean, he has so many good ideas, and he takes things in stride, and one thing, the most important things, he's right on top of, so that if we need this tomorrow, he'll have it ready for us to talk about. And like I say, I mean, this young man, the first time I met him, I said, that has to be our new city administrator. I picked him from the very beginning. He had knowledge, he had he just had I could just tell that he was going to make us a good
Well,
city
he had 2
administrator.
strikes against him as far as I was concerned. He was young and he was good looking.
Can't trust anybody like that.
I'm not sure I liked him at all.
He
strikes me as the kind of person who'd make a heck of a negotiator too, because I don't think he approaches people so they get their hackles up.
This young man is always prepared. I mean,
Smooth.
Right. I mean, if somebody comes in to talk to him and try to get him into some kind of
Corner?
a tiff or something, I mean, he's right there. He's prepared, and he can vouch for himself, and he knows what he's talking about with regard to the problems and the things we got going on in Lincoln. So I'm very proud of Clay as the city administrator.
You know, I think that we as citizenry have become a little jaundiced, maybe, in that we think that anybody whose last name is politician doesn't give a toot what we think or how we feel. But you're trying very hard to overcome that here. And do you feel that you're making inroads? Are you getting more people that'll stop by and say, I wish, or I think, or I hope, or what have you?
Well, they may not be at the office, but I cannot go anywhere. Kroger's, Walmart, Culver's.
Old Joe's.
I don't go. I don't stand when I drink.
I just want to get that in the clear on that.
But anyway, I mean, it doesn't make any difference where I'm at. If they got something they want to talk about, I'm willing to talk. So I think communication is the most important thing in politics right now.
In the
with
world.
people. In the world, with people of any place. And that's what I'm trying to do, and communicate with the people, show them what we have in mind for their city, go forward for Lincoln, and try to make it better. And
I was just going to say, I'll turn this little dewey around.
Please.
It was one of the goals, I think, out of our strategic planning session back in early winter this year, to do a little more outreach to the community. Being a small community and having a small community feel, sometimes rumor mills and misinformation can take a good project or a good initiative right off the tracks. And one of the components of that strategic plan and that outreach was the newsletter, which we were talking about just before getting on the air. We wanted to make sure that people knew the facts about what it is we're trying to do and why we're trying to do it, because everybody needs information. We do work for the people, and we want to make them aware, and we want to make them aware that we are working on their behalf and trying to do things the right way. That's an ultimate goal, and reaching out on social media also to inform of what's going on in our community and why we do the things we do. We may not agree about every way that we try to perform our business, but we're going to listen to you, and we're going to tell you at least how we view it, and we'd love to hear people's input about it as well.
What are your hours there? You said that you're trying to have some regular office hours. Clay, I imagine yours are pretty regular.
Conventional hours. Yeah.
Yep, confessional hours. Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
well, I'm doing 2 days a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 2 to 4. Tuesdays 2 to 4 and Thursdays 2 to 4.
I'd kind of like to get into a discussion of the proposed complex. I don't know where I got this idea, but I thought that the police department operated out of the public safety complex.
That's correct.
They do.
Yes,
They do.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so they're not really, I mean, they probably have an office, but they're not really housed as a department in the city hall. Is that right?
That's correct. Right.
Right.
Okay, so we're really talking about the fire department and the city officers, right?
No, the city police are desirous of
Right.
expanded quarters because, as I understand it best, they're really quite crowded over there, interrogation rooms and so forth, and there's just the logistics of day in, day out working. It's not working very well. Because we've
exactly right.
We've outgrown what we built some time ago.
That's exactly right.
And if you look on the record daily, we see them periodically. But if you look in the record, unfortunately, they're awfully busy. And that's a sad thing. But it's a fact.
It's a fact.
That's what we're working with. So they do. I think we all understand they need some room. You're going to have to prioritize it, whether the fire department, which is operating where they had Barney and Bill as horses coming
That's right.
out of the stables. It's the same fire department they had then.
You're right.
Right.
And so, by the way, did they slide down the pole yet, Judith?
Are you kidding? I was always the last one chosen for any team because I can't walk and chew gum at the same time. I'm not trying any fire pole.
Before we close that subject, but I want to think that we probably need to think in terms of getting into a commercial. And one of the things I want to talk about now that the freight cars are, long gone. Amen for that. Let's talk about the depot and look down the road.
Okay.
And we're right back live in the studio of WLCN 96.3. Our guests this morning are Mayor Marty Newman, and Clay Johnson, our city administrator. Some of you may have been out in the boondocks somewhere and not know that Marty has been appointed by her peers at City Council to be our mayor as a result of the tragic death of Scott Cooper. And how much of it, besides you have to make a decision next time, how long does this term last here, Marty?
Well, whoever the new mayor is will take charge May 1st, 2017. So say next year at this time, if I'm thinking of running, then I'd have to
Declare
it and go out and get my signature.
Well, I just got a little while to live yet, so maybe I can be a Marty Newman card carrier for a while before that happens. So, because you're doing such a good job, and you know you're dedicated and have shown dedication down through the years you've sat in the council seat, and they kind of reluctantly, you were kind of reluctant in getting pulled into that seat as mayor. And saw that it probably was the thing for us to do, and we're glad that worked out that way. You've got some people that you work well with, and it's a day-to-day planning, and nothing is ever the same each day.
No, never. I will say this, that I was in complete support of Scott Cooper when he was appointed. And I told him that I thought that whatever he wanted, whatever he needed, I'd be right there to help him. And so he appointed me as mayor pro tem at that time. The council that we have now works very well together. We listen, and we work hard to do the right thing. And so we have two more that I have to appoint, and I'm working on that now. Before we have a full council. We only have 6 right now, so we need 2 more to make a full council.
Our city council's kind of had
We're small.
bad luck lately.
What do you think, Mr. Johnson? A town, community of this size, and only represented by 6 council people. Have you got a comment on that, sir?
The only comment I had is that I came from a community in Indiana of 23,000 represented by 5.
Oh.
So,
okay. Well, there's a comparison.
There's a comparison right there. When I started getting interested in the job, and I looked and saw, I'd have to go from working for 5 to working for 8. And they had 10 before, and they had 12 before that.
Yeah.
that just threw me for a loop. But
frankly, not a heck of a lot got done with 12 of you.
Not anymore.
There is
a lot of talk.
There is, those management studies and tells you the optimal size for a group of working together, and 12 would be exceeding that optimal number. So I can imagine
it's too easy to pass the buck.
Yeah, I can imagine
too many people.
Discord would be very easy to occur in a group of that size. Yeah.
Well, those of us who drive in the neighborhood of the depot see a marked change and a happy change. Now the 2 railroad cars have gone, the 2 cabooses have gone. What would be the next step, folks? And is there a timetable on this where everybody's anxious to know what's going to happen to the depot? I heard it was going to be a restaurant again. Hear anything you want to listen to?
Well, I can grab that, I suppose. I think the most important thing for people to understand is that it's not going to be knocked down. That was one of the rumors flying through the community, is that the city's going to knock down the whole depot, and that's not the intention at all. For me personally, when the cars were taken out, I was shocked as to how big that area truly is and how nice the depot actually looks without all those things in front of it. Now,
even with all the junk in front of it.
I may be in the minority thinking that, because I know that there's a lot of people in this community that have memories in the old restaurant. There were people that came up to the demolition crew and to the car removal crew and said, my daughter's wedding reception was held in that, and that'll never be replaced, and we can't claim to replace that. No. But what we can hope to do is restore the grounds and restore the building to a condition that would be reminiscent of the original depot.
And architecturally, it can be attractive that way.
And that's the hope, is to keep it attractive. There's no final set use for the building. That's still up in the air. That's for the council to decide. But we believe that we will at least have a site plan for the new building in the next 30 to 60 days. The intention is that the construction portion of the renovation would be done sometime before the end of next year.
Now, will Amtrak not have something, and is it going to be on those grounds, on that lot, that footprint?
Like a waiting
yes,
station?
there will still be a waiting station there, and there will be a stop.
That
where
little thing that's in the front of the depot?
That will not be what we lovingly refer to as the Amshack. Will not be there anymore.
I haven't heard that. I love it.
The hope is that there will be a portion of either the building or a part of the site dedicated to a waiting station and a place for people to wait for the train.
Okay.
I think it's a matter of economics, but idealistically, it'd be lovely to have a waiting room just as it was as a depot in its heyday. But you run into the economics of heating a rather cavernous building, and it's probably not very practical to do that unless there's a way to somehow partition some area of it off.
Right.
But those are plans that are long range.
Right.
Nonetheless, they're in somebody's drawing boards now.
Exactly, and we have to be a little bit cognizant of the other groups that are part of this coordinated event, or this coordinated reconstruction. The city is a part of it. The Union Pacific is a part of it through the federal government, and the state of Illinois. So we're trying to play with a lot of hands in the pot, and hopefully we can our coordination with them has been excellent so far, and I don't see that not continuing. I think that we'll have a good product when it's all said and done.
Well, Mayor Marty, he said the dreaded words, the federal government.
Yeah.
working that has got to be another experience in its entirety.
Well, I'll tell you, I don't know if you know Paul Hines, but
yes, Paul. Oh my goodness, yes,
that man has
Railroad
been.
Man Paul.
Oh yes, he's been down to look at the cars removal and all that. In fact, it was an attraction for Lincoln that we had so many visitors there watching that take place, and so that was good. And then he remembers when it was just the station, and so he's anxious to see it be renovated and back to the original state of the building. So I think that will be good, and it will be so good for Lincoln when they come from Chicago and they come from St. Louis, and we have the TIFF, the new theater, and we have other things coming to Lincoln, and they'll all gel together when the time comes, and I think the people of Lincoln will be proud with what is being done with Lincoln, with the renovation of the street on Pulaski Street. I mean, they don't see the whole picture. I mean, some of us do see the whole picture and what it will actually be, but it'll be a good Lincoln.
Would you kind of hurry it up, will you, Mr. Johnson? Because my skids are greased, and I don't know how fast I'm going to slip out of here. So I'd like to see that happen before I get out of here. So,
Well, you have
so
our
you've
timeline.
you've got your work cut out for you, Clay.
Oh yeah, it always is.
The fact that we alerted to our complexes a while ago, the police and the fire department and so forth. Are you operating with police and fire commissions like we have done down through the, and they make recommendations to the council for promotions and so forth? Is that the modus operandi there?
Yes.
Yes.
Still all the same. Yep. There's testing for candidates for police entry level and rank officers. Same with the fire department. And they go through that testing and establish a list, and the council adopts a list of the people who should be hired in what order or promoted in what order, and that's how we proceed with openings in.
And the administration appoints those council members with the approval of the
City Council.
Yeah. All right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Who does negotiations for contracts? Does that commission do that?
No, the commission typically
Mr.
doesn't
Johnson's
do
job.
union contracts. Usually, in our last go-round, we did, and this year we've done fire and street negotiations. There are 3 unions now in the city of Lincoln: streets, fire, and police. The fire and street contracts were up this year, and the negotiating team was myself, the department heads, so the fire chief and the street superintendent, and a member of the council sat in on those too. Had we had a mayor at the time we did the negotiations, the mayor would often sit in on those negotiations as well, and we have a labor attorney that we use as a resource or as part of the negotiation team if we need it.
I remember Buzz and Len Kamer having done that a few times in the days of yore.
How much, Mayor Marty, has your daily routine been changed now since you are the Madam Mayor of the City of Lincoln?
Well, my house doesn't get cleaned as often as it used to. And I gave up cooking, but other than that, nothing else has changed. I just take each day, and right now I'm got city business and I have golf. Those are my 2 things right now. When golf ends, then the city gets more of my time. So, but those are the 2 things.
Gal of my own heart.
Yeah, really.
You got
She
your
has the
priorities right.
Yeah.
Yes, she does. And you know, that job isn't supposed to be a full-time job. The mayor isn't expected to spend 8:30 to 5 in the office 5 days a week.
No.
That's not how it works in our community, right?
Until there was an administrator. No, but it had been a part-time mayor previous to that. And I think the council, 2 years ago, or actually more like 3 or 4 years ago, looked and said, we need to have somebody trained and with experience in operations to help run the city on a day-to-day basis, because people have jobs, people have lives. They can't operate as aldermen and managers at the same time. So, with things becoming more complex, with laws becoming more complex, there was a need to have trained staff in the organization. And that was met with some resistance to the public, and I can understand because it's changed and it's different. But the council manager form of government is an extremely old form of government. It's the most common government in the United States. And the best way I know to compare it is to a school superintendent. There's a board that's elected to run the school, but there's still a superintendent, a COO that can, administrate the day-to-day operations.
Madam Mayor, did you find that once you were mayor, you had some new friends?
Oh, well,
Reality
living in
being
Lincoln
what
all
it
my
is.
life, I mean, I really don't. All the people of Lincoln are my friends.
Well,
so,
of course, we know you.
I'd have to go out of town to get new ones. So
That's a good point, Marty.
I really would.
But you know, the reality of it is that certain people have certain axes to grind, and that's just a realistic way of understanding it. So suddenly, somebody. Either a councilman or somebody going to approach them with, I want this done, I want that done, I want it done now, and they don't understand that.
Well, I tell you what, I told I tell the councilman, I don't have any problem defending my decisions. If somebody doesn't agree with me, then come talk to me, and I'll
visit with them.
I'll visit
Sure.
with you, and I'll explain why I did what I did, or why I voted the way I voted. I don't go to bed at night worrying about the city business, because I feel I give them my time, and I made the best decisions I thought I could do at that time. So I've also told the city council that, you know, we're all friends up there, we're all people interested in Lincoln, and what goes on at City Hall, leave it up on the council chambers. When we get out of the council chambers, then we're just people.
That
But
sounds
up
like
there,
a workable.
up there, it's all business. And when we get out of there, then it's different. That's my
Clay,
feeling.
that
wouldn't
makes
you
it work.
say that she's possessed of a great amount of patience? Really?
You have to be,
Yes, you
to
do.
be in that role, because even though the majority of the decision making is vested within the council, the mayor's the one that's going to take the shots.
Yeah. Point
And so
person.
you have to have, as the head of state, you kind of have to have some broad shoulders, because you're going to take a lot of it.
Oh, yeah. If there's a tie, then you have to break that, and that's a difficult chair to hold, isn't it?
Yes, it
Uh-huh.
is. It is. So far, I haven't had to do that.
Well,
so,
from
but
your
the
mouth
time
to
may
God's
come.
ear.
Yes. Well, now remember, I'm telling the people that are on that are listening to this broadcast, I've only been a mayor a little over 30 days, so give me a break.
Yeah. Well, and seriously, when you're out getting a bite to eat in some restaurant somewhere, people ought not to come to you and to visit you, but just they ought to have the good sense to ask to make an appointment and come see you and talk about their business there, rather than discuss it out publicly. But the reality of the world says that that's not going to happen all the time.
No, it won't.
Yeah.
It won't. When you live there all your life like I have.
Yeah.
I mean, to them, I'm Marty. I'm not Mayor Marty. I'm just Marty. And
Well, that's not going to change.
No. My husband and I, we had a business in Lincoln. I was an adjuster in Lincoln. I mean, I'm just Marty. And if I hope to be approachable, that anybody, any phase of life can come and say or talk to me and tell me, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? So any ideas they have, I will listen to anything. I mean, with the branding, I'll discuss that. Maybe I shouldn't, but I will. We don't know what that branding name is going to be, but it could come from any person in the community that just has an idea that's going to share it with us. And I want to listen to all the ideas that people have to give us.
Oh, pardon my ignorance, but could you talk for
We could
just
do
a
that in your
minute?
case.
Could the both of you talk for just a moment about that term, branding? I think I don't understand all I know about that. Clay.
Sure. Branding has taken probably a life of its own in our community, to make it sound like we're going to be working on logos and pictures and colors and that type of thing. What the intent is probably greater than that. We are trying to figure out a way to differentiate ourselves as a community from the community next door, or the community that may be down the road a little bit. and trying to find a way to differentiate ourselves, to get ourselves out in front of real estate executives and developers and those types of commercial decision makers to say, hey, I've noticed this material from Lincoln. There's something different about that place. Maybe we should check it out. Maybe we should try to find a green site for us to build a business, or maybe we should look to relocate our business from X community to this community because things seem to be going on there. So what the ultimate goal is of this quote-unquote branding initiative is to create marketing materials and try to determine our assets so that we can put our best foot forward in front of those types of decision makers. It is a controversial topic, and maybe we haven't done the best job of trying to explain ourselves, but I believe that it's really an economic development project for the city.
Well, that's what we need, is economic development.
You know, we can take our shots because that's what happens in this role. But I think that we're trying. I think that we're trying to do the best we can so that we can improve the quality of lives for our citizens in the community.
Yeah, in the interest of community spirit, I don't think we want to get in and talk right now. Neither we're about to run out of time, so we really can't, about the split of chamber organizations and so forth. There are some concerns about that, and we've got a lot of feathers that are ruffled, and some of those feathers will never go down. That's just an unfortunate truth. But the bottom line is we all need to take the long picture and be thinking in terms of working together and not trying to build this little fiefdom up as opposed to another. So I think you're going to see more and more of that coming together, and with the appointment of our Mayor Marty, that's kind of good. That rings pretty well, doesn't it, Judy? That works out very well. I will never call her Madam Mayor again. I'll just be Mayor Marty. We appreciate Clay and Marty Neitzel, Clay Johnston and Marty Neitzel for being with us today. They've got busy schedules, and they have more to do than come up and chit-chat with us, but they're kind enough to share time with us to come up. Do you have anything you'd like to share with us before we begin to approach the time, Judith Kay?
I just want to say our best to you, and congratulations, Marty, on having been chosen. Good choice.
Well, I'm going to give it my every strength I can to.
I know you will.
Well, one thing we know, anything that comes off those shoulders will be straightforward, honest. We don't have to worry about any deviance or anything like that.
That's for sure.
Clay, as we sum up, we have a couple of 3 minutes here before we sum up and see what's going on as we work with our new administration.
I'm excited to work with Marty. There is no doubt that everything that she does is going to be in the best interest of Lincoln. That's her first and foremost in her mind. It has been.
That's in her blood.
Oh, absolutely. It has been from the beginning. And I know, and she tells me this pretty much every day. I know where I stand with her. She will not pull any punches, but she's going to be forthright. She's going to be honest. She's going to be approachable, and we hope that it makes for a more responsive government and probably a better government overall.
Well, we thank you for number one, Mayor Marty, for agreeing to take this somewhat, and it can be really truly an onerous job. It's not all sweet and roses when you take a leadership in a community, and certainly she's agreed to do that, and she has our total support, and we know that any decisions that she makes are in her own mind the best interest for the community. And if if that doesn't turn out to be right, she'll just be disappointed. Speaking of government and so forth, and all the Big Brother controls and so forth, I read a quote not too long ago, and it said here, a majority in all parties, and I think this is true, in all parties, I think they want to see local government recover its old vigor and independence. And I think that would sum up the day pretty well for us. Thank you, Mayor Marty, and Mr. Clay Johnson. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for asking.